encore vers les différents documents fiscaux et sociaux que vous devez avoir. Cela dit, nous voulons faire que la durabilité de notre système repose entre des relations fortes entre les différentes institutions. Ça, c'est un modèle que nous sommes en train de mettre en place, d'où la mise en place d'un modèle hybride et évolutif. Hybride parce que nous allions plusieurs types de solutions, la biométrie, l'identité, et évolutif parce qu'à chaque fois, nous suivons la mise en place de ce système avec un registre central qui est le RMPP, des écosystèmes interconnectés et puis une plateforme de services d'identité. Cette plateforme, à travers les API, permet à tout le monde de bénéficier de nos différents services. L'architecture se décompose comme suit. Bon, elle est centralisée. Elle est ouverte avec des API bien sûr contrôlées. Elle est modulaire parce qu'elle intègre tous les nouveaux cas d'usage. Et ce qu'on a comme résultat, c'est qu'on a un système qui, avec une scalabilité, avec une résilience aux fraudes et une capacité d'évolution vers l'identité mobile. Ça veut dire qu'on va utiliser le NNI pour avoir maintenant l'identité numérique, l'identité mobile, pour que chacun puisse avoir son identité, quel que soit l'endroit où il se trouve, et puisse prouver de sa personne, même si elle n'est pas en face de documents physiques. L'identité que nous sommes en train d'élaborer, le premier critère le plus important, c'est de le mettre au service des citoyens. Au service des citoyens parce que nous avons sorti des cas concrets où on veut simplifier l'accès au système de l'administration pour que les gens ne parcourent plus de grandes distances. Pour ceux qui connaissent bien la Côte d'Ivoire, avant, pour avoir un certificat de nationalité, vous vous réveillez le matin, vous arrivez devant le tribunal, vous allez remplir des formulaires, quelqu'un va prendre votre pièce d'identité et puis va partir avec tous vos documents, va aller dans un bureau, vous ne le voyez même pas, vous ne savez même pas ce qu'il fait de ces documents et peut-être vous allez encore revenir peut-être 48 heures ou bien une semaine après pour récupérer ce document. Perte de temps, gain, perte d'argent, mais aussi les informations personnelles que vous avez sont à la disposition de tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, notre système permet de ne plus avoir ça et de sécuriser et de donner un avantage particulier aux citoyens. Pour l'État, ça veut dire qu'on peut aujourd'hui cibler plus facilement les personnes vulnérables pour lesquelles l'État doit en mettre beaucoup plus d'actions. Nous avons signé des partenariats avec la coordination des filets sociaux pour permettre à l'État de savoir exactement à qui cela va s'adresser. Et donc, c'est aussi des éléments d'amélioration de la gouvernance parce qu'à travers le RMPP, l'État sait aujourd'hui, dans une localité, combien de nouveaux bébés sont nés et on peut alors faire des campagnes de vaccination ciblées parce que lorsque vous envoyez 5000 doses de vaccins alors qu'il n'y a que dans cet endroit 2000 enfants, c'est un gaspillage énorme. Or, avec le RMPP, on réussit à combler tout ça. Pour le secteur privé, je vais passer rapidement dessus parce que eux, c'est le KYC qui les intéresse. Ils veulent savoir qui sont leurs clients et donc on leur propose des solutions. Il faut dire que tout ça, c'est limité et contrôlé par l'autorité de régulation qui fait que chacune des parties a accès à l'information juste et suffisante qu'il lui faut. Nous avons une application, par exemple, MyONESI Plus, qui nous permet que de donner votre âge. Parce que la personne qui veut vous servir n'a besoin que de votre âge, n'a pas besoin de savoir votre nom ni qui vous êtes. Et donc, avec cette application, elle prouve que la personne qui est en face d'elle n'a que 18 ans et on peut peut-être la laisser avoir accès à certains services. L'identité n'est plus pour nous un document, mais c'est un levier d'accès aux droits et aux différents services. L'infrastructure que nous avons en place, je vais passer aussi rapidement dessus, on a un système d'enrôlement biométrique avec des plateformes d'authentification et des services d'interopérabilité. Voilà les trois grandes architectures que nous avons dans notre infrastructure. Nous sommes passés maintenant à un titre physique. Du titre physique, nous sommes en train d'aller vers un titre digital. Donc, tout ce que nous avons ici est en train d'être maintenant digitalisé pour qu'on puisse avoir le plus grand accès. Digitalisation parce que nous savons qu'avec le digital aujourd'hui, il y a des personnes qui sont très reculées, mais comme le taux de pénétration, par exemple, du téléphone mobile, ils sont très loin, mais ils ont pratiquement tous des smartphones, alors que parfois les gens n'ont pas de carte nationale d'identité. Et donc, on a des éléments de vérification avec les API, avec l'utilisation par les entités publiques. Les expériences sont là aujourd'hui. Les banques, certaines administrations, au niveau du permis de construire, par exemple, du titre de propriété, on regarde toujours. Et donc, pour nous, l'interopérabilité est ce que nous avons mis au cœur de notre système. Donc, si un système qui n'est pas interopérable, qui ne permet pas de servir les citoyens, pour nous, n'est pas un système qui est vraiment efficace. Donc, pour l'interopérabilité, on a les API et on a les éléments de gouvernance de ces API-là pour que les gens puissent l'avoir de façon fiable. On a exactement aussi fait en sorte qu'on puisse avoir déjà une non-redondance pour les citoyens, mais aussi une sauvegarde pour l'État, parce que non-redondance, ça dit que l'État ne doit plus demander aux citoyens de lui présenter des documents que l'État même a créés pour lui. Et c'est ce que ce système-là permet de faire. Le système permet d'accélérer vraiment le numérique parce qu'aujourd'hui, lorsqu'il y a le besoin, les gens vont aller naturellement prendre des outils numériques parce que ça leur facilite la vie. Et donc, nous sommes en train aussi de surmonter certains défis que nous avons surmontés. C'est il faut faire vraiment une harmonisation de tous les différents systèmes existants. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, vous avez un numéro de compte contribuable qui est différent de votre NNI. Vous avez un numéro de matricule au niveau de l'école qui est différent du NNI. Donc, le travail, c'est de faire en sorte qu'on puisse modéliser toutes ces architectures-là pour avoir une certaine harmonisation pour qu'à partir du NNI, il puisse avoir des dégradations sur chacune de vos activités. Je vais vers la fin en vous donnant que nous avons essayé de renforcer ce modèle avec beaucoup de partenariats. Et donc, on a plusieurs acteurs qui travaillent dedans. On a des orientations stratégiques et une clarification des rôles parce qu'on sait dans ce contexte quels sont les rôles de chacun. Et donc, tout ça, c'est régi par des tests. Et voilà, on veut assurer la pérennité et pour qu'au niveau financier, au niveau institutionnel, au niveau politique et l'interopérabilité soient assurées de façon longue et permanente. Les leçons que nous pouvons partager avec les autres, c'est que pour nous, l'identité ne doit pas être conçue comme un simple projet technique. Ce n'est pas un projet technique, ça doit être quelque chose de durable. Parce que si vous faites un projet, que vous mettez quelque chose en place, l'évolution ne va pas vous suivre et il va avoir beaucoup de problèmes. Et la demande les usages sont beaucoup plus importants que l'infrastructure elle-même. Parce qu'une infrastructure qui est mise en place sans tenir compte de la demande, alors il y a un problème parce que vous avez mis des éléments techniques en place, mais vous n'êtes pas orienté vers les besoins. Et ce que nous allons faire différemment s'il fallait refaire, bien sûr, ça va être d'anticiper davantage sur la gouvernance. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, les éléments de gouvernance sont en train de se mettre en place pendant qu'on s'en va. C'est comme si vous êtes en train de réparer un avion en plein vol. Il y a beaucoup de dangers, mais heureusement que nous avons de très bons mécaniciens et que cela se passe bien jusqu'à là. Et nous allons accélérer vraiment l'intégration des services dès le départ parce qu'on a fait un système et c'est maintenant qu'on est en train d'intégrer les différents services. À la fin, le message clé que je voulais faire partager, c'est que l'identité en Côte d'Ivoire n'est plus un document administratif, mais c'est une infrastructure stratégique au service de l'inclusion, de la sécurité et du développement, parce que vous savez d'où la Côte d'Ivoire vient. Et maintenant, vous avez vu que hier, nous sommes dans un cadre où nous avons une sécurité qui est installée. Merci à tous. Je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you. We will not have time to take questions, but Ambassador Kodia will be around today and will be available during the break to take your questions. But I will ask one question if you care to share with the audience any of the statistics in terms of how large is the identity, the register of the population, who does it include, are you planning on registering biometrically the children? How do you enlarge the inclusion of the society?
Nous avons prévu 3 types parce que déjà, il y avait ceux qui avaient déjà des identités avant. Donc, de façon systématique, on les répand dans le nouveau système. Mais pour que ce système soit inclusif, nous allons maintenant avoir un processus dans les écoles. Et pour faire en sorte qu'un enfant qui arrive à l'école, et chez nous, l'école est obligatoire à partir de 5 ans. Donc, avant que vous n'ayez à l'école, il faut maintenant avoir votre numéro national d'identification, donc être intégré dans le RMPP. Aussi, nous avons pris de telle sorte que nous soyons aussi à l'hôpital. Pour quand déjà, même à la naissance, on vous récupère. C'est ce qui va montrer qu'à terme, on pourra l'avoir. Mais particulièrement, Dr. Atix, nous avons fait un programme pour les personnes à mobilité réduite, pour les personnes en situation de handicap. Et ceux-là, vous savez que quand vous avez un système qui doit respecter les normes ICAO et que quelqu'un peut-être est non-voyant, par exemple, ou quelqu'un n'a pas ses empreintes et est amputé, c'est un système qu'il faut adapter. Donc, notre système a été aussi adapté pour ce type de personnes, ce qui fait que nous garantissons la couverture inclusive de toute la population.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Ambassador. We will be continuing. We have to stay on time. This is one. We have 12 more to go. So thank you again. Thank you for
Merci
being
à
the
tous.
host
Merci
and
beaucoup.
for giving us this opportunity to be
Merci
united
beaucoup.
here.
Merci.
Thank you. We will continue now with Nigeria, the playbook from Nigeria. Nigeria, yes. Operator, please put the Nigeria presentation on. It's the clicker. Thank you once again.
Good to see you.
Every day we have you on the stage. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to walk you quickly through the Nigerian playbook. So Nigeria has been able to achieve quite a lot during its digital identity journey from inception. As it stands as of today, we have registered about 133 million Nigerians who have verifiable identities and credentials. And we have also been able to introduce the NIN from birth, so which means that every child born today has a NIN issued to them. So the Nigerian's national identity journey started in 1977 with the establishment of the Department of National Civic Registration, as you can see. We used to be called Department of National Civic Registration, the DNCR, and you can see that in 1979, 1983, 1991, 2003, the complete life cycle of the card evolution, the production and distribution of that card. When we were initially established, we were under the military government. In 2007, a committee was set up, a presidential committee, to review the Department of National Civic Registration and to also ensure that there is an enabling act that will establish it to ensure that the entire life cycle of the identity is captured. So, which means from setting up a database, creation of an establishment of a robust database, also going all the way down to the integration and harmonization of databases and provision of authentication and verification services. This is a journey of the leadership of the NIMC identity management. We've had 3 leaderships since 2007. NIMC was established by the Act number 23. We had Barrister Chris Oyemenem, and what he was able to do was to establish a strong foundation for the National Identity Management System, which is the NIMS database. He was there for 8 years. We also had Engineer Aliyu Aziz, my immediate predecessor, who was also there for 8 years, who built on the existing foundation laid by the predecessor and kick-started off the integration and harmonization with databases. It was able to enhance the NIMC verification service at the time. I'm here now. I joined in 2023, and we have been able to drive adoption and enforce the NIN across board, usage of the NIN, and also quickly accelerated the integration and harmonization of government agencies, departments, and ministries based on all their use cases. We have also reinitiated and relaunched the eID card and introduced the verifiable credential wallet mobile ID system in line with best practices. So this slide speaks to the foundational building blocks and progressive development from 2007 to 2023. The establishment of the National Identity Database. It also shows you the projection, the growth projection, massive enrollment growth since the beginning of the NIN issuance in 2012. Initially, NIMC had no plans on enrolling. We had planned that we would have partner with the private sectors to carry out the enrollment on our behalf so that we could focus on the regulatory aspect of it. But at the time, one of the partnerships went sour, and we had no funding then. And then we had a new leadership in power who decided that they were going to, fund NIMC to be able to establish enrollment offices nationwide. And today, NIMSI's structure is all the way down to the wards in Nigeria. And we have 8,809 wards. So this shows you how we have been able to grow the database. In October 2020 to May 2023, it was increased by over 61 million. And by December 31st, 2023, when I was on SIT, it increased to 104.16 million names. So it was a huge jump during that period. We had to create the digital identity ecosystem by developing a collaborative framework with more than 14 ministries, departments, and agencies who were able to come on board and agree on what the framework should look like for authentication and verification, especially around data exchange. The NIN-SIM linkage policy actually helped a great deal because what that did was mandating that you use the NIN to activate your SIM card drove up adoption of NIN. So it increased the number of NINs that we had in country because a lot of people have phones and they need to be able to make their calls, and we're able to achieve that success. So that's the first initial success that we had. Introduction of digital identity tools today. We've launched the NIN mobile app, which allows citizens to use their digital ID, generate virtual names and verify identities without physical documents. Improvement in verification infrastructure. The initial one developed was the person identification verification services, allowing authorized agencies to instantly authenticate identities. When we came on board, the first thing we had to do was to assess the progress made and also identify the gaps to see how we could close the gaps in line with the President's renewed hope administration agenda. So what we now did was to create a 5-point agenda from 2023 to 2027 to sort of, bridge the gap. So this is a high-level breakdown of it. First focus was increase the enrollment. Second was to ensure harmonization and integration of all the databases across all agencies. The third one was issuance of the JFPC and activation use of applets. The fourth one is access to services to aid financial inclusion through GTP payments. And the fifth one was to increase public and private participation using the NIN as the foundational data for identification. The strategic shift since 2023. Before 2023, we had fragmented enrollment-focused models. We had isolated data, manual processes, repetitive information, repetitive collection of information of people's PII, personal identification information, and we also had limited interoperability. And we also did have, at the time, siloed databases across board. Now, today, we have evolved and we have been able to obviously ensure that our integrated digital public infrastructure, has been able to upgrade to digital public ecosystems to ensure that we're able to drive the economic reforms of our current administration. I will speak a little bit to the context and the problems that we've been able to solve. So I would say before 2023, so it's not 2025, we still had a lot of systemic bottlenecks and challenges based on the progresses made. We had system blackouts and delays. We had a saturated backend server, which was capped at 100 million records. And we had the banking system, BVN in silos, health. We had tax in silos. And so we had a lot of fragmented databases. So that obviously created limited access, unregistered individuals. We also had little penetration at the community level, especially the nooks and crannies of the country. Unregistered individuals. So we had a lot of people that were unbanked and who also did not have a NIN. Fast forward to the 2025 transition and reforms that have been put in place. We're able to resolve the blackouts and delays. We're able to, resolve the systemic bottlenecks and bureaucracies that we encountered. We're able to then scale the ABIS in partnership with the World Bank ID4D loan from 100 million to 250 million records, as our total population is estimated to be at 230. We've been able to review the NIMSI Act of 2007, which has not been reviewed in almost 20 years, and we're able to do that successfully. So we've been able to even update the authentication and verification framework. Data Protection Act was enabled in 2023, which was signed into law by the President. The Cybersecurity Act of 2015 is being upgraded at the moment in line with best practices. But all of this, what we have done is worked with the ecosystem to be able to ensure that there are different acts, enabling acts are being strengthened. And we've been able to achieve that through the ecosystem units on the ID4D loan. So right now, today we have the SIM, the banking, the telecom linked to the NIN. We have the BVN, which is the bank verification number linked to the NIN. We have the NHIS, which is the National Health Insurance Scheme number linked to the NIN. And we have the tax identification number harmonized, integrated and harmonized with the NIN. So one of the key priority areas for Mr. President is to be able to use the NIN to enable critical government interventions for Nigerians at the grassroots levels, and also ensuring that all the groups that have been marginalized and excluded, especially women, youths, especially students and unemployed youths, and also farmers, and also the little babies, are able to ensure that they're able to get access to those services. So what we have literally done is to ensure fiscal efficiency, using the need to drive fiscal efficiency across board. With the National Revenue Service, which used to be called the Federal Inland Revenue Service, and the name just got changed of recent, we have been able to assist and help them drive their revenue up, because they were able to then initially had 7 million people on their database, but today they have 100 million because we've been able to harmonize with them. With the security agencies, they rely heavily on the NIN. We'll be able to harmonize with them. They do a lot of biometric verification across board. A lot of government agencies are on board. And then we also have, for social inclusion and distribution, I've spoken to that a little bit, so I won't spend so much time on the second part. Ensuring subsidies reach verified individuals. And what are we trying to achieve? We want to ensure there's accountability and transparency using the NIN for citizens to be able to access government services. Security and accountability, SIM cards, financial transactions, enhanced security architecture through our biometric verification platform, and also ensuring governance transparency. The NINOth app was launched by Mr. President October 2024, which was Q4 of last year. And this has been able to eliminate bureaucratic interference and corruption in service delivery. In fact, we have been able to improve the service from 15 seconds per API verification call to less than a millisecond. So we've done quite a bit around that. Nigeria's National Identity Program, meeting the World Bank ID4D and SDG targets. So from January to December 2025, our ID4D load focuses on ensuring that we're able to enroll 148 million Nigerians. And that has gone up to 170 million because we have been able to move quickly. So as at the time that we did the slides, January to December, we had done about 127 million records. We were able to push out more than 800 new mobile enrollment devices. Right now on the mobile devices part, we have just awarded a contract for 7,000 devices so that we're able to, push the penetration a lot deeper. Our goal is to ensure that every single Nigerian is enrolled before the end of this year. It's a huge target, but we're making very good progress. We do an average of at least 5 million per month at the moment. So in July 2025, successful migration to NINOth. To ensure seamless real-time identity verification. September 2025, the president had given us marching orders to ensure that we go down to the community level. So we kicked off the World Enrollment Initiative. October 2025, the presidential launch of NINOth, and current target 2026 scaling to 180 million enrollments. And we're really hoping and looking forward to the possibility of enrolling every single person before the end of this year. So this is the architecture of the identity sector. This is basically just a snapshot which focuses on, a high-level look at the verification service. of what we have. So we have the biometric capture and enrollment, face fingerprint, iris demographic data, and then we have the NIN verification platform, which is also connected to the NIDB. And then we have the service integration across all the critical services in the country. And we have the citizens control and mobile integration, which is the NINOT, which allows for consent management and gives the citizens total control over their NI and their data. And then we have unified systems harmonized from tax, BVN, voters' IDs, driver's license, SIM registration. That's just a little bit around the endless list of harmonizations we've done. So we'll just say that key benefits and goals is around security and fraud reduction, financial inclusion, e-government, efficiency, data privacy, and control, which is very important to us. So scope of operations for us so far has been using digital identity as an enabler for critical government services. And we have also ensured that whether you download the NINOT or you have the EID card, we should be able to make it easy for you to access our services either which way. And we have been able to do a lot of that. So for service integration, NIN was mandatory for a lot of critical transactions. So financial services, use cases around opening bank accounts, accessing consumer credit, tax payments, social intervention, disbursement of student loans, this was at the time 844,800 students, but now it's about 1.4 million students via NIN. Agricultural subsidies to about 3 million citizens. Social welfare paid to through the cash transfer program, disbursed to about 9.1 million households, which is roughly about 45 million citizens. And that has been done successfully. We also have the general multipurpose card. We did partner with different companies, local partners like data mining company, and also using a local payment rail, Afrigo, to be able to ensure that we're able to activate the G2P, government to persons card initiative that we have. Infrastructure, we've actually done a lot of upgrades at the moment, and we are also working with the World Bank to be able to upgrade the NIMS 1.0 to the NIMS 2.0, and we are trying to look at the issues around that, which we know that African countries usually struggle with maintenance when it comes to upgrades because they're usually very expensive. So we started to look at the possibilities of open source. So this model will be an open source model, and we're also taking components from MOSIP to be able to integrate into this to see how best the system can be upgraded and make sure that it stands the test of time. So, and also reduce the cost of maintenance for us. National Social Safety Net Coordinating Office, NASCO, we've spoken about that. Over 11 million Nigerians. Now we have 45 million that have been paid. Geographic reach, nationwide world level enrollment has increased our penetration and also increased adoption across board. Now, one thing we do have is we have about 950 locations outside of the country. So we make sure that Nigerians living in Africa, in other African countries, and Nigerians living in Europe, in Asia, we have centers in China, in Korea, South Korea. We even have in Lesotho, in Africa. Our reach is really, far. We have in Peru. So we have done quite a bit. And we have in the Americas, we have in the UK and co. We've done quite a bit. So we make sure that our systems were upgraded of recent to be able to ensure seamless access for them and seamless transactions for them over there. So no Nigerian abroad in the diaspora is excluded. In the last year, January 2025 to January 2026, the National Identity Management Commission has transformed from just being a digital identity sector and into a dynamic digital public ecosystem. This journey has been very interesting for us. And I'm just going to quickly highlight the achievements here. Enrollment expansion and modernization. Enrollment milestone is now 133 million, as earlier said. Adjudication and debt clearance. We had some manual back logs for this at the time we came on board, and that has been cleared. A manual backlog of 2.5 million that has been resolved through the automation of the modification portal, self-service modification portal, so people can go online and get this done. This used to be done physically before. Operational debt clearance, we cleared legacy debts, making the commission debt-free. And then the North ecosystem launch, which was done, which processes at the time over 3.3 million daily requests, and now it's gone up to about 10 million daily requests. Full migration to the North has been done, so it has 3 different interfaces: the government, public sector end, the private enterprise end, and then the individual citizen who is able to share, their data through the share code, and they have many ways to share the information they want. It also has the capability of offline verification in there. FEP support, local FEP support has been done, and we're able to clear the backlog I met on ground. There was a 2-year backlog, which we're able to do with the ID4D for the front-end partners. So we have a front-end partner local partnership with the private sector, and what they do is they help us further enroll people across boards. And so they're working with us on the ward enrollment, and they had outstanding payments, so we had to obviously make sure we rebuild their trust by paying them. Extortion and mitigated extortion, because all those manual processes are now automated today. So in NIMSI today, we are paperless. Everything is done electronically. Now, on the Nigerian Digital Identity Achievements Continuation, we have harmonization and integration. Achieved full integration with the Nigerian Immigration Service for seamless passport issuance and passport renewals. Another use case that we haven't included here is the e-boarding gate. So today, we have the e-gate system in Nigeria, which was launched by my ministry, in conjunction with my ministry, Ministry of Interior, and the Ministry of Transportation. And that verification of your identity relies on NIMSI. So NIMSI is the backbone for the success of this story. Connected NIN to major national systems. We have the Universal Basic Education Commission. We have NELFund, the student loans. We have tax, we have credit core, we have an endless list of services that we have been able to provide in real time. We have been able to upgrade the NIMS middleware, automating workflows across government platforms. So strategic government collaborations we have done, including the FEP with ward level enrollment. We have the Presidential Metering Initiative, which, with identity-enabled transparency, we have enrolled. Okay, so I'm just going to keep talking. So we have enrolled 206,000 refugees, IDPs, and IDPs for us means internally displaced persons. And 32,000, not 32,000 inmates, actually we've done 80,000 inmates, because in our prisons we have roughly about that amount. So we've done that, and we're still in partnerships with correctional services to ensure that all the inmates, new inmates, are being captured in real time. So agency collaborations across boards, social benefits delivery, linked into all the ministries in Nigeria across board.
Yeah. Operator, put the next slide. Advance, I don't know how that came in.
Thank you.
That's it, yes.
So, digital ID systems and GMPC reforms, financial inclusion and G2P ecosystem, security, data protection, and anti-corruption. So I've spoken a little bit to the others. I'm just going to really focus on the security, data protection, and anti-corruption. You know that fraud is an issue. It's a global problem. And the way we build our systems, we build it from a perspective of privacy by design. So which means that we always have to think 10 steps ahead of fraudulent people. Okay, so in Nigeria, in our environment, we have a lot of smart people, right? So people are always trying to outsmart each other. So we always have to ensure that we have that peculiarity. So we want to make sure that we build systems that are resilient and they stand the test of time, especially around issues with cyber attacks or data phishing and the rest. And we have been able to reinforce data protection. So my colleague in Data Protection Commission is seated right here. We've just signed an agreement to train all of NIMSI's staff on data protection to make sure that they're not just trained on it, but they're data certified. They have their certification, so they're data certified. And we've also done the same with our ecosystem partners, our trust verification partners, and also our front-end partners across board. They also undergo compliance audits on a monthly basis to ensure that the system is solid. Digital infrastructure modernization. We've done a lot, expansion of the 100 million to 250 million records, 49% reduction in enrollment time with the introduction of pre-enrollment process and everything else that we've been able to do. The self-service modification, you can go online. It doesn't matter which part of the world you're in, you're able to modify and update your information using your biometrics to authenticate your identity. We've improved security and authentication. We've deployed IBM Power 10 servers, upgraded the Oracle database, expanded the AB storage, and launched so many products, including the key lifecycle management modules and metadata, which are key modules for encryption and decryption in identity system. NIMSI has received quite a lot of awards, and this is just to show you that we're being recognized for the progress that we have made in such a short time. How it was achieved? Through structural reforms, strategic partnerships, and enabling policies. So we had to ensure that, first of all, we strengthen our legal reforms. Imagine having an act since 2007 that has not been updated. When that act was enacted, it didn't have data protection in it. It didn't have cybersecurity in it. So we had to make sure that we had to look at all of this. And we've also then gone a step further to establish all the associated regulations around biometrics, identity regulation, trust, PKI, etc. Implementation of the ecosystem approach, ensuring that those Nigerians abroad in the diaspora are not excluded and they're able to carry out transactions. And then we also have the digital identity ecosystem funding partners. We have the current ID4D is funded by 3 partners: World Bank, European Investment Bank, French Development Agency. And we have been able to do a lot. And we also have a partnership with the Gates Foundation where we're trying to do some other additions, just a little bit of work on it. So that's part of what we've done so far. Technological upgrades and mobile enrollment. We have been able to upgrade our core infrastructure, reach remote areas and increase speed, allow instantaneous verifications, and also improve regional coverage, and ensure that every single app we have works offline. Strategic and operational roadmaps for 2025 to 2026, infrastructure first approach, the concept pivot, ward level enrollment, continuous FEP revalidation, ensuring that we do that through a rigorous process to ensure standards and eliminate possibility of extortion or data phishing. Online portals available for data modification and registration. Interagency harmonization, we have successfully integrated with 120 plus government agencies. Diaspora integration, all done. Institutional reform, continuous training for all of our staffs. At that point, we had trained 2,300, but we've done training for every single staff that we have, and also partners in the ecosystem. So on NIMSI, we have achieved quite a lot. We have ensured gender distribution, inclusion. So at the time that we put this presentation, it was 1.7 million. So it was 69.7 million for males, 54.2 million for females. Geographic leaders, Lagos State, Kano. Diaspora reach, 52 million enrollments, plus 52% improvement. We have the infrastructure and operational achievements. The social economic impact and evidence is what's really good for us. So we spoke about the NEL fund, which is done about 1.4 million, 3 million plus farmers for agricultural subsidies, financial and telecoms compliance with 96% compliance rate. And we have about 153 million SIM cards connected to verifiable identities. Governance integration with 125 partners, birth registration enabled, email registration, anti-extortion and fraud partnered. Why the change was needed?
Last slide. Last slide, yeah.
Okay, so why the change was needed, key challenges and drivers. Physical cards are unsustainable, so you have your digital ID wallet with your card. Centralized digital database is paramount. We didn't want databases as silos, and we didn't want repetitive collection of different information across board. So mandatory linkages at the beginning drove adoption, but what we have done is sort of moved away from that. People now understand the need for their need. They have a good understanding of why we need that need, you know. And then local trust is crucial for us, trying to bring Roma closer to citizens.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot you can share, but we run
We
out of
actually
time.
have quite a lot
Yes.
that we've done.
But
So-
let me ask you one quick question, because you said it. The mandatory requirement of digital identity, or the NIN. Yesterday, the Human Rights for ID Consortium has called for staying away from mandatory requirement.
Yes.
How would you view the realism in your context? Can we be in a world where the NIN is not mandatory?
So I think that at the beginning, you definitely need the NIN to be mandatory to drive up adoption. But when you start to integrate based on use cases, the citizens start to see the value of how the NIN can make their lives easier and how it bridges the financial divide and digital divide in the country. So it actually closes that gap. So I think for African countries, it is necessary for a country that hasn't even kicked off their digital identity journey to do that. But by the time you kick that off and people start to understand from the first two use cases, then then they'll start to promote that. I think what's important for citizens is to ensure that their trust is not broken across board and their data is in safe hands.
Thank you. I would like to actually ask NIMSI and the Human Rights for ID Consortium to have an opportunity to sit down and talk, because I feel you have a lot of important perspectives to share with them, that they also have certain perspectives to share with you. So please, if you could find the opportunity here to meet, that would advance the agenda.
I think that we would be more likely to do that. We'll definitely have a meeting with them.
We'll arrange.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Sorry, we have to continue to stay on time. 2 down, 11 to go. Kenya. The next playbook is going to be Kenya, and it will be delivered by actually 3 people who will share. Gilbert Kitio, who's the Secretary, National Registration Bureau, Ministry of Interior, National Administration, and ID for Africa Ambassador. Anderson Chebi, who is Deputy Director, ICT, National Registration Bureau, Ministry of Interior and National Administration, and ID for Africa Deputy Ambassador. And Mary Karima, who's the Secretary of ICT, E-Government and Digital Economy, Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, ID for Africa Deputy Ambassador. So please take your seats, and the floor is yours. Thank you. Again, 30 minutes on the clock.
Thank you.
You can go ahead.
I don't know whether you can hear me on this.
Yes, we are silent conferencing.
Thank you very much. Now we are here to speak about the Kenya Digital Identity Playbook, Identity as Foundation of Digital Public Infrastructure. Because of time, we will try as much as possible to be very brief. Now, these are the contents of what we will be delivering. Why digital identity matters, the Kenya's national problem statement, the ecosystem maturity, the digital identity architecture, the demand side, who uses identity and why, the supply side, issuance, verification, and life cycle management, then interoperability and digital infrastructure, 8, governance and coordination, 9, sustainability model and lessons for Africa, and finally, Kenya's vision for trusted digital identity. The three of us will do this in a collaborative manner. If I can go to brief background. Kenya's digital identity investment support. Now, what are we looking at here? We are looking at an infrastructure which is secure and trusted, especially when it comes to delivery of government services. We are looking at an architecture which supports financial and economic inclusion. We are looking at an infrastructure which promotes efficient service delivery. Number 4, we are looking at fraud reduction and identity assurance. You know, in this space, there are so many fraudsters who are ready to defraud if they get an opportunity. Then the 5th is the seamless citizen access to public and private services. In Kenya, we have over 22,000 government services which are available digitally. And that's why we require this digital ID to enable these services to be discharged. Then we have the national digital transformation under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. When you talk of this agenda, this is the agenda of our government, whereby citizens who are down the ladder, the economic ladder, are given preference. That's why our government is putting up affordable housing. We have the social health, that is universal health for all Kenyans. Primary education is free in Kenya. Day secondary education is free in Kenya. Secondary education boarding is subsidized, and university students and those in colleges are given soft loans. Now, if we look at the beginning, we have a long history of our identity, which dates back to 1919, during the colonial times. But in 1978, we enacted our Registration of Persons Act, Laws of Kenya, which enabled the government of Kenya to do registration of persons. The mandate of the department which I head is identification and registration of Kenyans over 18 years, production and issuance of secure identification documents, management of comprehensive database for all registered persons, protection and prevention of illegal registration. You know, Kenya, for a long time, we have been surrounded by neighbors who have been a bit unstable, and they really wished to have our secure papers. But that is what we were trying to protect. In brief, this is the chain of evolution of our identification document. I'll not go much into history. From 1919, 1963, 77, 1978, but then now in 1995, we embarked on the second generation ID document, which had the features of a digital ID, if you can look at the graph there. Then in 2023, we upgraded that system into something we call the Maisha card. Maisha in Kiswahili is life, Maisha card, which has a lot of other features, which our technical teams will dive deep to explain more. Now, this was our statement, problem statement, fragmented identity, manual and paper-based verifications, legal complexities, identity fraud, data inaccuracy across platforms, the existence of siloed systems, resource leakages, and high operational costs, then weak citizen authentication. Now that one has been corrected by the digital system, whereby we have achieved what I mentioned earlier: trusted national ecosystem, secure digital identification, then a unified digital trust. We have an integrated population register where you can get everything at a click of a button. And we have registered over 95% of Kenyans in this platform, where we have even the fingerprints and the facials in our systems. Now, before I go into the